I'm Katie Couric. It's a deal. President Bush and rebel Republicans settled their differences over interrogating and trying foreign terror suspects. Attention, Walmart shoppers and everyone else. The world's largest store is slashing prices on hundreds of prescription drugs. We'll check out the fine print. He's fighting global warming with a cool $3 billion. We'll talk with British billionaire Richard Branson. And some very special kids soaring to new heights.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. Our Bob Schieffer told you at the start of the week the president and rebel Republicans were getting close to a deal on the treatment of foreign terror suspects. Well, tonight they have one. The main sticking point had been a demand by Senators McCain, Warner, and Graham that the bill make it clear torture is not allowed. Now both sides are saying they are satisfied.
I'm pleased to say that this agreement preserves the most potent tool we have in protecting America and foiling terrorist attacks.
The agreement that we've entered into gives the president the tools that he needs to continue to fight the war on terror and bring these evil people to justice.
Let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Jim Axelrod, and our congressional correspondent, Cheryl Atkinson. First of all, Cheryl, on Capitol Hill, bottom line, what does this mean?
Well, this paves the way for Congress to pass and the president to sign in law two very important things. Number one, the ability for the CIA to continue interrogating its so-called high-value terror suspects. And number two, military trials for those 450-plus suspects being held at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And Cheryl, as we've been reporting all week, John McCain was holding this up. What did he get that prompted him to sign on to this? Well, McCain, as you know, said he would not give in on the issue of detainee rights, specifically making sure they're offered the full protection of the Geneva Conventions. That, he said, because how we treat these enemy combatants, he believes, sends a message to the rest of the world and could, in fact, influence how our own soldiers are treated by future enemies in conflicts if they happen to be captured. Meanwhile, Jim Axelrod at the White House, the president compromised on this. What did he give up?
The president all along said the Geneva Conventions needed to be reinterpreted, redefined, because the language was too vague. It didn't offer any protections to American intelligence agencies who were actually carrying out all of this interrogation. He wanted those agents protected by the Geneva Conventions being further explained, clarified. He gave that up. They're going to do it another way, Katie. They're going to use existing American law, the War Crimes Act, to spell out clearly what American intelligence agents can and can't do, not the Geneva Conventions. All right. Well, Jim Axelrod, Cheryl Atkinson, thank you both so much tonight. Meanwhile, big sales are usually found on the inside pages of the newspaper, but you can look for this one on the front page tomorrow because it's bound to make some headlines. Walmart announced today that it is slashing prices on hundreds of prescription drugs. But don't rush out to Walmart just yet. It's only in one state so far. Anthony Mason has the story.
For Carmelo O'Neill, who spends more than $100 a month on drugs, the $4 price tag Walmart put on nearly 300 generic medications today was a savings windfall.
This is awesome. I mean, $4 is $4.
Launching a fierce price war, Walmart has slashed drug costs, first just in its Tampa area stores, but next year across the country.
This is a kickoff of a program that will roll into Florida and to as many places in the country as we can.
In all, Walmart will offer 291 generic medications for just $4 for a typical monthly dosage, like the diabetes drug Metformin. A monthly supply costs more than $25 at a national drugstore chain. Walmart's price of $4 means an annual savings of more than $250. Lisinopril, a drug that treats high blood pressure, costs more than $17 at another major chain. A price cut to $4 would save a patient $200 a year.
If this company, making an effort to reduce drugs, can make so large a decrease as they claim so quickly, I think there must be a lot of fat in the price of drugs, even generic ones.
We are the price leader.
Walmart CEO Lee Scott recently told me his company wants to use its size to take more of a leadership role.
We're on the national stage, and we're going to have to participate in
business and government and labor coming together saying there's a health care issue in this country.
And with 2,100 stores across the country, the world's largest retailer has a lot of leverage.
They can lean on their suppliers and say, we're Walmart. You want to supply us? You're going to give it to us at this price.
These $4 medications Walmart's now offering treat everything from asthma to cardiovascular disease. So who's unhappy? Walmart's competitors, the national drugstore chains. And Katie, all of their stocks dropped sharply today.
All right, Anthony, thanks so much. One day after the E. coli outbreak was linked definitively to fresh bagged spinach, growers in California say they plan to take steps to safeguard their produce and protect the public. 23 states have now reported E. coli cases, and 157 people have gotten sick. One person has died. But we may never know exactly how that spinach became tainted. Wyatt Andrews has the latest on the investigation.
1 week later, and investigators admit they do not know and may never know exactly how so much E. coli reached the spinach crop. In California, they've narrowed the contamination to 3 counties south of San Francisco. But even finding the exact farm, officials say, may not tell them how the crop was infected. Robert Brackett is the food safety chief at the FDA.
We won't be able to find specifically at what point the contamination occurred because it happened months ago.
CBS News has learned, in fact, that investigators almost never find an E. coli smoking gun. After the last 6 major lettuce and spinach outbreaks that caused 3 deaths, hundreds of illnesses, and at least 26 cases of kidney damage, not once was the source identified. Last fall, the FDA, in this scathing memo, accused the produce industry of sitting on its hands, saying industry claims that we cannot take action until we know the cause are unacceptable. The industry insists that all major growers follow strict safety protocols and says it is baffled by the continuing outbreaks.
Either something went horribly wrong in a practice that we should be able to control, or something new has occurred, something that we haven't foreseen.
Clearly, something went horribly wrong for those made sick. Jillian Cole, a marathon-level athlete, needed several days of dialysis in a fight for her life.
It's hard. I don't know. I like to think that I just think about the positive and that I'm going to recover.
So they haven't found the E. coli yet, but they may allow some fresh spinach back on the market, and soon. A plan to certify and label spinach as not being grown in the 3 impacted California counties could be announced as early as tomorrow. Katie?
All right. Thanks, Wyatt. Meanwhile, next time you visit the doctor, don't be surprised if you're asked to take an HIV test. Here's tonight's news briefing. Federal health officials recommended today that all Americans between the ages of 13 and 64 get tested for the AIDS virus when they get their other routine blood tests. Experts believe 250,000 Americans are HIV positive and simply don't know it. And a shocking claim from the president of Pakistan, Pervez Musharraf, tells 60 Minutes' Steve Kroft that the United States threatened to bomb his country if he didn't help America's war on terror. The message supposedly delivered by then Deputy Secretary of State Richard Armitage.
What did Armitage say to your Director of Intelligence right after September 11th?
The Director of Intelligence told me that he said, be prepared to be bombed, be prepared to go back to the Stone Age.
Richard Armitage said that you should be prepared to be bombed back to the Stone Age.
Yes.
Were you insulted?
Yes, I thought it was a very rude remark.
Armitage disputes the exact language, but he doesn't deny that the message was, as he put it, strong. You can see Steve Kroft's full report this Sunday on the season premiere of 60 Minutes. British mogul Richard Branson is vowing to fight global warming, and he's putting plenty of money where his mouth is. He's joined a growing list of billionaires who are donating to philanthropic causes, making a huge pledge today to former President Bill Clinton's global initiative. Branson is promising $3 billion over the next 10 years. That includes all of the profits from his Virgin Airline and rail interests. He says the money will be used to find new energy alternatives to oil and coal. I spoke with Richard Branson today about his pledge. So, Sir Richard, $3 billion, that's a big chunk of change. Why did you decide to give that money to the efforts made against global warming?
I don't want to be the generation that destroys this world for our children and our grandchildren. And I think if we carry on as we are, we will destroy it. And I'm also in the airline business, so I need to redress the balance even more than other people.
Well, there's some irony to that, isn't there? Here you've made your fortune through the airline industry, which does contribute, quite frankly, to global warming. Do you find it at all ironic that this is your main cause?
I mean, the only way people can get to London, for instance, is to go on Virgin Atlantic or another airline. And so you're not going to stop that happening. So what we've got to do is come up with fuels that Virgin Atlantic can burn that are clean fuels. And that's where our money's going to go, in trying to develop new fuels that can fuel cars and planes and make sure that the world is a safer place.
When did you have an awakening about this issue? Do you remember a point in time where you had some kind of epiphany and said, I really need to get involved in this cause?
Well, up until about 5 years ago, I was a slight skeptic about global warming. And then I started reading and meeting a lot of scientists and thought, we've got transportation companies. Let's plough the money we make from those into this issue.
Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
For details on the stories you see here on the CBS Evening News and a lot more, you can check out our website at cbsnews.com. And coming up next, evangelical liberals. Does that seem like a contradiction? Stay tuned. You're about to meet some.